to me, was the defining moment of Emmitt Smith. The toughness, the competitiveness, the ability to just will himself to give us a chance to win, and we kicked a field goal in that game to give us home field advantage.
He broke the NFL. Was it really just the line?
To the 20, touchdown, Emmitt Smith, 75 yards.
They said his offensive line did all the work. They said he was too slow, too small, just a product of the Great Wall of Dallas. Any running back could do what Emmitt does behind that line, the critics sneered. He's just lucky. But here's what they couldn't explain. On January 2nd, 1994, with a separated shoulder, unable to lift his right arm above his chest.
So I would have room and space within the joint because I hurt my AC joint and my clavicle kind of popped up a little bit. And so I'm glad it didn't come through the skin, but it popped up a little bit.
You need to win this game, right?
That's the most important thing. We needed to win this game.
In a must-win game for the NFC East title, Emmitt Smith carried the ball 32 times for 168 yards. His arm was taped to his side. Every hit brought tears to his eyes. Even the Giants' defenders were asking if he was okay, and he kept going and going and going.
Flag on the play. Aikman gets it to Emmitt Smith.
229 total yards with one functioning arm. That wasn't the offensive line. That was pure, unfiltered will to dominate. He broke the NFL. Was it really just the line? Let's find out. Because Emmitt Smith didn't just break records. He broke defenders. He broke doubters. He broke the spirit of every team that thought they could stop him. By the time he was done, he'd rushed for 18,355 career yards, more than any player in NFL history. He'd scored 164 rushing touchdowns.
And Emmitt Smith gets his first carry in the second half and gets good yardage. Emmitt Smith swung out of bounds.
He'd won 3 Super Bowls. He'd become the only player ever to win the NFL MVP, the rushing title, the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl MVP, all in the same season. But none of that was supposed to happen, because Emmitt Smith was never supposed to be great. He was too slow for scouts, too small for the NFL, and definitely not the kind of guy you build a dynasty around. So how did a 5'9", 221-pound running back from Pensacola, Florida, become the greatest closer the NFL has ever seen? How did he outlast everyone? And why do people still disrespect his legacy by saying it was just the offensive line? Chapter 1. The Rise. Emmitt James Smith III was born in Pensacola, Florida on May 15, 1969. His mom, Mary, was his everything. She worked multiple jobs, cleaning houses, working at a nursing home, whatever it took to keep the lights on and food on the table. Football wasn't just Emmitt's escape. It was his mom's hope for a better life. From the moment he could walk, Emmitt was different. While other kids were playing games, he was studying Walter Payton highlights on VHS tapes until the tape wore out.
77, 1,852 yards.
He put Sweetness, Payton's nickname, on his high school Letterman jacket as an ode to his hero. Not because he wanted to be like Payton, because he wanted to be better than Payton. At Escambia High School, Emmitt wasn't just good. He was unbelievable. He rushed for 8,804 yards and 106 touchdowns in his high school career.
Nichols throwing deep, looking for Emmitt Smith. Smith with a great catch. He's going to just walk in for the touchdown.
He had 100-yard games in 45 of his 49 starts, including the last 28 in a row. He broke the 2,000-yard mark in a season, twice. But here's where the disrespect started early. Recruiting expert Max Emfinger, a man who has since been proven spectacularly wrong about many things, said this about Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith is a lugger, not a runner. He's not fast. He can't get around the corner. When he falls flat on his face, remember where you heard it first. Too slow. Can't get around the corner. We're going to hear these same criticisms for the next 15 years. Buckle up. Emmitt went to the University of Florida and immediately proved everyone wrong. In his very first college start against Alabama at Legion Field, he rushed for 224 yards and 2 touchdowns on 39 carries.
Here's Smith leading the way. McGrady. Smith's gone. Touchdown, Florida.
Breaking Florida's 57-year-old single-game rushing record. He became the fastest running back in college history to reach 1,000 yards in a season. By his junior year, Emmitt had set Florida records for rushing yards in a season, 1,599, rushing yards in a single game, 316 versus New Mexico.
Give up the middle to Emmitt. No one touches him. Touchdown, Gators.
Career rushing yards, 3,928, and career rushing touchdowns, 36. He owned 58 school records when he decided to forego his senior season and enter the NFL draft. The 1990 NFL draft arrived April 22nd, Marriott Marquis in New York City. NFL scouts had their notebooks out, ready to pick apart every flaw.
Under the trade that I just described, Dallas selects Emmitt Smith, running back from Florida.
He's only 5 feet 9 inches. He ran a 4.7 40-yard dash. He's not fast enough for the NFL. He's too small to handle the workload. Pick 1. The Indianapolis Colts selected quarterback Jeff George from Illinois, the can't-miss prospect with the rocket arm.
Buys himself some more time scrambling. Finds Bill Brooks. 24-yard touchdown pass, 7-all, 10-7 pass.
He'd be out of the league in 11 years, journeying through 5 different teams, never living up to the hype. Pick 2. The New York Jets took running back Blair Thomas from Penn State.
The New York Jets select Blair Thomas, running back, Penn State.
The other franchise running back in this draft. He'd rush for a whopping 2,009 yards in 4 seasons before washing out, a complete and utter bust. Emmitt Smith was still sitting there, waiting, watching. 16 teams had just passed on the greatest running back in NFL history. Finally, at pick 17, the Dallas Cowboys, a team coming off a 1-15 season and desperately searching for hope, selected Emmitt Smith. The Cowboys thought they were getting a solid running back who might develop over a few years. What they got was a relentless machine who would define an entire era of football. Chapter 2. The Dominance. Emmitt's rookie season in 1990, 937 yards, 11 touchdowns. NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. Pro Bowl selection.
Emmitt Smith. Smith. Touchdown.
The kid who was too slow just announced himself to the league. His second season, 1,563 yards. Led the entire NFL in rushing. First rushing title at 21 years old. By 1992, Emmitt was unstoppable. He rushed for 1,713 yards, won his second rushing title.
Into Redskin territory. Emmitt Smith being chased down. They will not get him.
And led the Cowboys to Super Bowl 27. Dallas demolished the Buffalo Bills 52-17. Emmitt had 108 yards and a touchdown. Championship number 1 secured.
And he's in. What a run. Oh, my.
But 1993, that's when Emmitt Smith became a legend. After dominating in 1992, Emmitt wanted to be paid like the best running back in football. Jerry Jones and the Cowboys didn't want to budge, so Emmitt held out. He missed all of training camp. He missed week 1. He missed week 2. The Cowboys started 0-2 without him. Their backup, Derek Lassick, tried his best, but the offensive line, that legendary line everyone said made Emmitt great, wasn't blocking with the same intensity.
Emmitt Smith. Touchdown, Dallas.
Safety James Washington called it totally unfair to Lassick. After a brutal Week 2 loss to Buffalo, defensive end Charles Haley threw his helmet through a wall in the locker room, demanding ownership end the holdout. 3 days before Week 3, Emmitt signed a 4-year deal, making him the highest-paid running back in the league. He came back, and then he went to work. With Emmitt back in the lineup, the Cowboys went 12-2 the rest of the way. He rushed for 1,486 yards in just 14 games. He won his third consecutive rushing title. But it was Week 17 against the New York Giants that cemented Emmitt's legend forever. January 2nd, 1994, the Meadowlands. Both teams are 11-4. Winner gets the NFC East title, home field advantage in the playoffs, and a first-round bye. The loser gets a wild card game the next week. Everything is on the line. The Cowboys jump out to a 13-0 lead. Emmitt is running hard, punishing the Giants' defense. Then, late in the first half, on a 46-yard run, Giants safety Greg Jackson tackles Emmitt and drives him into the frozen Meadowlands turf. Emmitt stays down. He's clutching his shoulder. The trainers sprint onto the field.
Run down by Greg Jackson.
X-rays reveal a separated right shoulder. The doctors tell him there's nothing they can do. He has two choices: sit out the rest of the game or play with his shoulder in its current condition. Emmitt doesn't even hesitate. I'm playing. The trainers get creative. They tape together a pair of knee pads, cut a hole in the middle, and fashion a makeshift shoulder pad. They tape his arm to his side so he can't lift it above his chest. They give him painkillers that barely touch the agony. In the second half, the Giants rally. They score 13 unanswered points. Late in regulation, they kick a 31-yard field goal to force overtime. The game is tied 13-13. Head coach Jimmy Johnson pulls Emmitt aside during the timeout before overtime. Emmitt, I'm going to put Lincoln Coleman in there to give you a break. Emmitt looks Johnson dead in the eyes and says, let me play until I can't play. The Giants win the coin toss, but go 3 and out. Dallas gets the ball. And for the next 11 plays, Jimmy Johnson and offensive coordinator Norv Turner hand the ball to Emmitt Smith 9 times. 9 touches, 41 yards. On one play, Emmitt even stiff-arms Lawrence Taylor, the greatest defensive player of all time, using his injured arm to gain a few extra yards. With 4:16 left in overtime, kicker Eddie Murray nails a 41-yard field goal. Game over. Cowboys win 16-13. Final stat line: 32 carries, 168 rushing yards, 10 receptions, 61 receiving yards, 229 total yards with one arm. The busiest day of his career. The Giants' defenders, men who had spent the entire game trying to knock him out of the game, couldn't stop him. We couldn't believe he was playing, Giants coach Dan Reeves said after the game. A lot of people can play with an injured shoulder, but a running back is unbelievable. Even Lawrence Taylor, a man who built his career on violence, said, we gotta knock him out. We gotta get him out of this game. They couldn't. After the game, Emmitt was bent over in the training room, unable to stand straight. Michael Irvin was crying, thanking him for the performance. Emmitt spent the night in a Dallas hospital with an IV in his arm and painkillers flooding his system. That was Emmitt's Joe Montana flu game moment. Except it wasn't the flu, it was a separated shoulder. And he didn't just survive, he dominated. Chapter 3. The Peak. 2 weeks later, the Cowboys crushed the Green Bay Packers in the divisional round. The next week, they beat the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship. Troy Aikman had a concussion from that game, which meant the Cowboys would lean even harder on Emmitt in the Super Bowl.
Cowboys going a quick count. Emmitt Smith is going to get in the end zone.
Super Bowl 28, January 30th, 1994. Georgia Dome in Atlanta. Dallas Cowboys versus Buffalo Bills. Rematch from the year before. The Bills jump out to a 13-6 halftime lead. Buffalo looks poised to finally win a Super Bowl. But then Emmitt Smith takes over in the third quarter. He runs on 7 of 8 plays on a 64-yard touchdown drive, punching it in from 15 yards out.
Tackled but breaks away to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Emmitt Smith.
The Cowboys never look back. Final stats: 30 carries for 132 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 receptions for 26 yards. Super Bowl MVP. At 24 years old, Emmitt Smith became the only player in NFL history to win the NFL MVP, the rushing title, the Super Bowl championship, and the Super Bowl MVP all in the same season. Nobody has done it since. The Cowboys had become the first team ever to win a Super Bowl after starting 0-2, and Emmitt was the engine that powered them there. But Emmitt wasn't done. In 1995, he put up the most dominant rushing season of his career.
Goodbye for the books. He's gone. Emmitt Smith out in front. Touchdown, Dallas.
1,773 rushing yards, 25 rushing touchdowns, an NFL record that stood as the single-season record for years, 62 receptions, complete and total domination. Emmitt became the first player in NFL history to rush for 1,400 yards or more in 5 consecutive seasons. Those 25 touchdowns weren't flukes or garbage time stat padding. Emmitt was the ultimate closer.
Watch out. This could be over. Touchdown, Dallas.
When the Cowboys needed a yard, he got 2. When they needed a touchdown, he scored. When the game was on the line, he delivered. The Cowboys won Super Bowl 30 that season, beating the Pittsburgh Steelers 27-17. Emmitt had 49 rushing yards, but scored 2 touchdowns, including the game-sealing score. 3rd Super Bowl ring in 4 years. Dynasty cemented, and still the disrespect continued. It's the offensive line. Any running back could do that behind the Great Wall of Dallas. Emmitt just kept running. He led the league in rushing 4 times. He made 8 Pro Bowls. He was named first-team All-Pro 4 times. He rushed for over 1,000 yards in 11 consecutive seasons, an NFL record. Then came October 27, 2002, Texas Stadium. Dallas Cowboys versus Seattle Seahawks. Emmitt needed just 93 yards to pass Walter Payton, his childhood hero, the man whose nickname he wore on his jacket as the NFL's all-time leading rusher. In the 4th quarter, Emmitt took the handoff from quarterback Chad Hutchinson and ran off left guard for 11 yards. He broke a tackle. He stumbled. He fell forward.
Emmitt again. Almost broken.
Move over, sweetness. Make a place for Emmitt, Brad Sham called on the Cowboys radio network. Emmitt Smith, 18,355 career rushing yards. Walter Payton, 16,726. The record that was supposed to be untouchable? Broken. Eddie Payton, Walter's brother, was at the game to congratulate Emmitt in person. Connie Payton, Walter's widow, sent a recorded message that played on the Jumbotron. A banner dropped from the roof of Texas Stadium proclaiming Emmitt the NFL's all-time rushing king. Emmitt stood on the field with tears in his eyes. 30 of his relatives were there. The man who grew up in Pensacola watching Walter Payton highlights had just surpassed his hero. He finished his career with 18,355 rushing yards, a record that has stood for over 20 years and shows no signs of being broken. He scored 164 rushing touchdowns.
There he goes to be broken. Past the 40.
He had 175 total touchdowns, second only to Jerry Rice. He accumulated 21,564 total yards from scrimmage. In 2010, Emmitt Smith was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame on the first ballot.
Without you, I know today would not have been possible. I love you, Daryl, from the bottom of my heart.
Jerry Jones gave the induction speech. Emmitt Smith is Dallas Cowboys royalty. He's NFL royalty. Emmitt Smith's about durability. He's about dependability. The legacy. So let's answer the question one more time. He broke the NFL. Was it really just the line? Here's the truth. The offensive line was incredible. Larry Allen, Nate Newton, Eric Williams, Mark Stepnoski, Hall of Famers and Pro Bowlers who deserve every bit of credit they get. But lines don't run for 229 yards with a separated shoulder. Lines don't become the all-time leading rusher by outlasting everyone for 15 seasons. Lines don't score 25 touchdowns in a season or win Super Bowl MVP while playing hurt. Emmitt Smith was the ultimate grinder. He broke more tackles than anyone. He always got the extra 3 yards. He carried it 4,409 times, most ever, and still protected the ball well for his volume, only fumbling the ball 61 times. He showed up for 226 games and almost never got hurt. And when he did get hurt, he played anyway. The offensive line opened holes. Emmitt Smith turned those holes into championships. No running back in NFL history has ever been the closer that Emmitt was. When the Cowboys needed a yard, he got it. When they needed a touchdown, he scored. When they needed someone to carry them through pain and adversity, Emmitt Smith strapped a separated shoulder back together with tape and knee pads and went to war. And yeah, the offensive line helped. But you know what? Emmitt helped them too. You can say it was the line, but the line didn't separate a shoulder and keep running. The line didn't outlast everyone for 15 years. The line didn't become the greatest closer the NFL has ever seen. Emmitt Smith did. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Emmitt Smith's legendary career, smash that like button and subscribe for more NFL documentaries that tell the untold stories of football's greatest players. Drop a comment. Who do you think was the greatest running back of all time? Was it Emmitt? Was it Barry Sanders? Jim Brown? Let me know below. End Zone Exposed is where the truth always scores.